longtime veteran in the National Football League whose work on ESPN is highly enjoyable, and wanted to get his take on Week 7, knowing in advance there'd be something to talk about one of his former teams and the Jets coming into Monday. Damien Woody, back here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you doing, Damien?
I'm well, Rich. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Is this your man cave we're seeing behind you there? What we got right here?
It's my library. Got a lot of stuff, thrown in here. Wife, kids, they love to stockpile stuff in my library. But yeah, it's my space.
Okay, this is my space here. Like, this is where I get like, hey, put your stuff here. This is where this is what I get. You know what I mean? I'm with you.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean.
Is that a Pro Bowl jersey over your right shoulder that I see?
It is. Pro Bowl. I got a few jerseys around. My rookie jersey from New England, my Boston College jersey, my high school jersey. So I got a few things laying around here.
Was that a Hawaii-based Pro Bowl back in the day, Damien?
Yeah, back when it was a real Pro Bowl, not this Orlando, manufactured stuff they got now.
The real Pro Bowl when nobody would touch anybody for 3 quarters, and then the fourth quarter everybody started doing the math in their head about how much it cost, and you wanted to win. You wanted the winner's check to break even. That's pretty much it.
So had to pay for that Hawaii trip somehow, with the family there. So yeah.
I remember those days, man. I used to cover it back in those days. All right, so let's jump into it. What ails the Jets right now, Damien?
Rich, early this morning, man, I said that the Jets, they're a roster, they're not a team. And what I mean by that is they have a bunch of guys with brand names on the back of their jersey, but they're not a team. And that's clearly on display as you watch the Jets. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is not playing well. There's a lot of guys on this roster that's just not playing well right now. This is Aaron Rodgers. The version of Aaron Rodgers we're seeing right now is not the version that the Jets traded for, clearly. But if the Jets want to go anywhere, the quarterback has to play much better than what he's playing. He looks old and compromised right now. He looks like a guy that doesn't want to get hit. He doesn't move in the pocket, nowhere near what we've been accustomed to seeing. Obviously, he's 40 years old, coming off the Achilles. So, I wouldn't expect Aaron Rodgers to look like Aaron Rodgers from 10 years ago. But, the one thing about Aaron Rodgers that we've seen throughout his career, he's obviously one of the best talents that we've ever seen throwing the football. But the one thing he's done throughout his career so well is taking care of the football. And that's one thing he has not done this season is taking care of the football. And the defense is not living up to its billing. I know, stats, there'll be stats that, the Jets are top 5. That's baloney. Anyone who watching the Jets can see, this team is not playing, particularly on that side of the ball, up to their billing. And so you got a bunch of mercenaries on this roster. That's what I call it. They got a bunch of mercenaries on this roster, but they don't have a team.
Well, I mean, Bishop made that incredible interception right before half that, I can't really pin on Rodgers, and certainly the second one that was almost a pick six, you could pin that right on the number 5 that Garrett Wilson had the ball bounce off of. So where do you see Rodgers' play actually affecting the wins and losses right now, Damien?
Yeah, listen, that first interception, actually Devontae Adams was wide open. Rich, Aaron Rodgers tried to thread a needle. The DB did make a good play on it. But I just go not just this first game, but if you look at Aaron Rodgers, this year, it's the turnovers. He has a bunch of turnovers. We've seen Aaron Rodgers in years past where he's had 3, 4 interceptions throughout the whole season. Aaron Rodgers has 6 in 2 games. That's not Aaron Rodgers. That's not the Aaron Rodgers that we've been accustomed to seeing play football. They can't run the ball. They can't stop the run on defense. And your quarterback is not playing nowhere near the level that we've been accustomed to see him playing throughout his career. So when you have all those things going on, you find yourself at 2-5.
Well, and my issue by looking at it is that so who is going to be able to, it's crazy to say these words, but hold Rodgers to account. It certainly can't be the interim coach who wasn't even in charge of his own challenge flag last night, Damien. That's the question here. And it's basically Rodgers have to hold himself to account. And I understand what you're saying because I said it after the Bills beat the Jets on that Monday night on your networks that that the Bills are a sum of their parts and the Jets are a bunch of parts looking for a sum. And
Yes.
that's what it looks like again, right? And with so the only way that I could kind of look at it is the Jets don't have an ownership front office structure about the way things are done, and the Steelers do. And they stuck Russell Wilson into that on Sunday night, came out with the win. And maybe, is that what it is? I know it might be a larger picture question here, and we need to get this thing for the Jets to be a playoff team up and running. But I'm wondering if that has something to do with it, Damien.
Well, last night, Rich, you clearly saw a clear contrast between the two organizations. You saw one organization that's had three head coaches since 1968, and then you saw an organization that's been, mired in mediocrity since about 1968. And so when you have all that stuff going on with the Jets right now, and, you talk about who's going to hold Aaron Rodgers to account. Part of the problem is the players aren't holding themselves to account. There's no more excuses. You can't talk about the coach, can't talk about the offensive coordinator. You fired the coach, you fired the offensive coordinator. So who else is there, Rich? It's the players. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I don't place any blame on Jeff Ulbrich. I mean, hell, he's never been a head coach. He's trying to coordinate a defense, now taking on the interim, responsibilities as a head coach. At some point, the players got to go out there and take account for their play on the field and make things happen. I've always said, who are the real leaders in that locker room, and why aren't they stepping up to the plate right now? I think that's the biggest thing that I can say.
And I wouldn't normally ask, do you think they can? I think they can because they are very talented. There's a bunch of talented people, and as Rodgers said, two big names coming. One's already here in Adams, and one's coming in Hassan Reddick. I think they can. So I'll ask you, do you think they will, Damien?
I would say no right now. What evidence do you have right now that leads you to believe that the Jets can go on up, win, 8 or 9 games this year, remaining schedule? There's no evidence to say that could happen. And I think part of the reason you're saying that is because you're basing it on the names on the back of their jersey.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of why you're saying that. But again, I go back to this is what I see from the Jets right now is a roster. It's not a team. There's a big difference. Guys not doing their jobs individually and collectively. If guys do that, then the outcomes will be different. But we're seeing breakdowns everywhere, from the quarterback to the defense. The line's not blocking. There's just a lot of guys. It's a lot of individual parts that's just not playing up to the sum.
Damien Woody here on the Rich Eisen Show. As we're sitting here, the lone remaining undefeated team are the two-time defending champion Kansas City Chiefs. Now that we have seen 6, if not 7 games from the rest of the conference, give me the team that you think within the AFC can knock the Chiefs off, Damien.
Baltimore. Baltimore is a team that I could see doing that. I think defensively, they're only going to get better. They're still rounding the form. They got a first-year defensive coordinator, Zach Orr, who's still, kind of finding his footing in that defense. Is only going to get better and better. But you look at the Baltimore Ravens, their identity couldn't be any truer. It seemed like week in and week out. They're going to run the football. They're going to look to bludgeon you, with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. And Lamar Jackson is playing about as well as I've seen him playing. This man is a 2-time league MVP. And so when I look at a team in the AFC who could knock off the Chiefs, it's the Baltimore Ravens for me.
And Derrick Henry seems to be a perfect fit. And then you look around, and we'll see what the Bills look like with Amari Cooper. And when they get some of their defensive prowess back, maybe if Milano can return, and obviously up front. Houston does appear, it does appear that the NFC North has given a blueprint to the rest of the league on how to handle C.J. Stroud. Damien, would you agree with that right now?
Oh, absolutely, because I can tell you right now, the Green Bay Packers put C.J. Stroud in a blender yesterday. They just they were just smothering, suffocating him all over the field. Getting after him. Obviously, the running game, wasn't all that effective. I mean, they held C.J. Stroud maybe to the lowest point of any game throughout his young career. So that just speaks to the Green Bay Packers defense. Jeff Hafley, the new defensive coordinator from my alma mater, Boston College, has done a fantastic job with that defense. And boy, you're talking about a division. There's like 4 heavyweights in that NFC North division. It's going to be fun to watch.
Who's the best team in the NFC through 7 weeks in your mind, Damien?
I would probably have to say that the Lions. The Lions are probably the best team. They're well coached. They know what they are. And I have to say, Jared Goff might be the league MVP right now.
Look at us.
Jared Goff, the numbers that Jared Goff has put up over the last 4 games, no other quarterback has done that since Peyton Manning. I think back in like 2008. It's something crazy. The numbers, he's completing over 80% of his passes. He's just been lights out, especially when you try to blitz him. He has ice in his veins. So Jared Goff, the way they're able to run the ball, it's just been phenomenal. The only question I have with the Detroit Lions, what are they going to do with the absence of Aiden Hutchinson? Because he was such a dynamic player. They're going to need a pass rusher, I think, via trade to kind of keep this team where it is right now.
Yeah, I said Jared Goff's the MVP of the league literally 10 minutes before you zoomed in. Like right now, through 7 weeks, you can't argue with what you're seeing. The efficiency to start a game, to help the Lions get off fast, the consistency that brings, and the calmness I imagine that must bring to the entire team, and also similar to the city. I'll say it, which is interesting to say this about a kid from Northern California. But honestly, making something of himself when people do not believe in the product and believe in the community that is being fostered by him. It's similar to the city's back. The city's awesome. Detroit versus everybody. Jared Goff is an incredible story that I think everybody's buying into there right now, Damien.
Yeah, he fits in so well because remember when that trade with Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff was an afterthought in that trade. And all he's done is come to Detroit, work his tail off. GM Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell have done such a great job of assembling a team. And Jared Goff has just blossomed into one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. And you're right. He's the MVP. He's playing at such a high level at the quarterback position. Like, that's why the Detroit Lions sit where they are right now, in my opinion, is the best team in the conference.
Damien Woody here on the Rich Eisen Show, 2-time Super Bowl champion from the worldwide leader in sports. What did you make of Jerod Mayo calling the Patriots soft, Damien?
That's a very interesting way to go about, critiquing your team. Rich, I as a player, you rarely ever hear a player say that word, soft, because in football vernacular, it's a derogatory term. You're talking about someone's manhood when you're calling someone soft on the football field, and so I'm so fascinated to see what those guys in the locker room think of their head coach using that word in the media, calling them soft. It could go one or two ways. It could, it could rally guys, or guys could just turn on their coach. I'm just fascinated to see how this Patriots team respond after hearing their coach calling them soft in the media.
Did Bill ever call you guys soft behind the scenes? Did that word ever? Because again, I'm just trying, and it's unfortunate, maybe for me to do this, because anything that somebody like Jerod Mayo in New England would say, I'm wondering if he would pick up from Bill in any way, shape, or form. Bill never really did that, obviously, ever publicly, but I'm wondering where that came from.
Yeah, I mean, to my recollection, I don't remember Bill ever saying, you guys are soft. Again, it's very rare you hear anyone call, whether a coach or anyone tell players, a group of players, that they're soft. It's a very touchy thing, man. And so I'm shocked. I'm actually very surprised that he would say that in the media. I am.
Damien Woody here on the Rich Eisen Show. Another line that usually don't cross is to boo or is to cheer a player who's hurt, because that player has been substandard in his production. And that was what happened when Deshaun Watson, who we've been talking about here on this show as being unbenchable because of his contract and how he's been put out there over and over again because of his contract in a way that other quarterbacks would be benched. Browns fans, when he went down with what has now been confirmed a season-ending Achilles injury, there were some who cheered. I want to play you Myles Garrett's response to it and get your response to all of this.
Whether it's an opponent that goes down or one of our own, we don't boo. We don't boo the guys that are injured on the field, especially, with the extent when the card comes out. We should be ashamed of ourselves, as Browns and as fans to boo anyone and their downfall. To be season-altering, career-altering injury. Man, it's not perfect. He doesn't need to be. None of us are expected to be perfect. Can't judge him for what he does, off the field or on the field, because I can't throw stones from my glass house. But we need to do better. We need to do better on the football field, and we need to do better as fans for having some empathy for a man who's doing the best he can and did the best he can up to this point. And we have to be better.
What did you think, Damien?
I 100% agree with Myles Garrett. I think he said the exact right thing to say. As I always tell people, as players, we spend more time with the guys in the locker room than our own family. And so we look at each other. There's a brotherhood. We see how guys work. It's a lot of preparation, Rich, that goes into, winning these football games. And to go out there and you see a guy like Deshaun Watson, put in the work. He's not trying to go out there and play bad. I mean, he's not playing up to his standard. But I can tell you from the guys, in the locker room, that this man is preparing his butt off. And then to go out there and have that type of injury happen, and then to hear fans cheer for another person's downfall, no, I can't ride with that at all. I just don't think. I think there has to be a level of decorum with the fans, as far as that's concerned. You just never want to see any player, again, a teammate or an opponent, have that type of treatment towards them from the fans. So I agree with Myles Garrett 100%.
Damien, I really appreciate the time here. I'd like to do this more often if you're up for it. I really enjoy watching you in my former place of business and having you on here. Does Green need a hug? Is he still wearing the Rodgers jersey underneath his gear? Damien, what do you think? What's going on?
I think Greeny is numb. I think that's the best word to use right now. He's numb. We were just talking, this morning. It's just like, I don't even know what to feel after watching that debacle last night on Sunday Night Football.
He's a smart guy. I mean, I know him. He went to Northwestern. So did I. I don't know why he keeps on keeping on. I don't understand it, Damien. I don't get it.
It's
fandom for you right there.
Yeah. He's a fanatic, but at some point, you got to start, letting it go a little bit, I guess.
Damien, thanks for the time. Really appreciate it. Let's do this again soon.
Absolutely. Anytime, Rich.
You could check out Damien Woody on Get Up and the rest of the morning, mostly, shows. And, of course, on NFL Live, that's Damien Woody doing all the shows on ESPN right here on The Rich Eisen Show. Catch The Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.